Today we shall be dealing with topology. With this topic being completed, we have covered more than 50% of electric circuits. So let's get started. So here you can see this is the entire sheet of network topology, and you can see here that it is a pretty big topic to be covered in one video. So I will try to cover it in 2 or 3 videos. First thing first, we are going to cover some basic stuff because those basic stuff is not given in this sheet, and the basic stuffs are not going to be asked in any exam, but it is important for you to know so that you understand these concepts over here in this sheet much better. So let's get started. First thing first is, what is a network graph? Here you are given with a particular network and you are converting it into this particular graph. This graph is called graph of this network. What we are doing here is we are replacing all the elements with straight lines with dots at the ends. Okay, these dots here are called nodes of the graph. Okay, this is the graph of this particular network, and converting a network into a graph is what we are going to do. Okay, then we have directed and undirected graph. Here you can see that a graph is following some directions, so it is called a directed graph, and there no directions are mentioned, so this is an undirected graph. Let's talk about planar and non-planar graph. Here this graph can exist in one plane. It can lie in this plain sheet of paper. So this is a planar graph. If it doesn't follow one particular plane, then it is a non-planar graph. Let's talk about subgraph. A subgraph may have less than or equal to number of nodes than the original graph. Here you can see this is our original graph, and these could be the subgraphs. Okay, these could be the subgraphs, and ideally a proper subgraph is the one which has lesser number of nodes than the original one. Here you can see we have 4 nodes over here. Okay, these are the 4 nodes over here, and any subgraph is which has lesser number of nodes. The original graph has 4 nodes over here, but here we have 3 nodes. Here also we have 3 nodes. Here also we have 2 nodes, and here we have 3 nodes again. So this is having lesser number of nodes than the original graph, so we are calling it proper subgraph. Let's talk about what is a path. Path is an ordered sequence of a branch. Okay, here we are taking into consideration this graph. If you want to have a path could be like this, this and this. It is a sequence or ordered sequence of a branch. It could be like this as well. It could be anything in anywhere, but it is having a particular sequence of a branch, so this is called a path. Then we have connected graph and unconnected graph. Okay, there should be at least one path between any 2 nodes. Okay, if you take 2 nodes over here, then we have 2 paths, this one and this one. Okay, this is a connected graph. But in an unconnected graph, if you have separate paths, then it is called unconnected. You can see this graph is not at all connected to this graph, so this is an example of unconnected graph. Now moving on, we have tree, co-tree, twig and link. Okay, we are having this particular original graph over here, and a tree is something that has all the nodes connected once. Okay, all the nodes of the original graph, but in the least possible lines we are going to connect all the nodes without forming a loop. Okay, the basic feature of a tree is that a tree doesn't have any loop. It just has all the nodes. Here we have 3 nodes. Okay, and we have connected all the 3 nodes. Okay, you can see this could be it. Okay, but without forming any loop. Okay, and the branch of a tree is called twig. Okay, here this is a twig, this is a twig, this could be a twig, this could be a twig. Here C and A are twigs, here B and C are twigs. Okay, so this is how it goes. But the part of the original graph which is not covered in this tree is called a co-tree. Okay, if we are taking into consideration that this particular graph, particular tree of this original graph, the original graph is this one, and we are taking into consideration this particular tree of this original graph, then the part of the original graph which is not shown in this tree is called the co-tree and is often represented by dotted lines. Okay, If we add tree and co-tree, then we will get the original graph completely. Okay, and branches of a co-tree is called a link or a chord. Okay, so this is all for basic.